Yeah.
Streaming is turned on, so you'll be heard.
You cannot right now see it. So if you want to. They can. What is it? It's been a four seat.
Look what it said.
What is it about getting a cold shoulder? Okay, and it is 5:00 p.m. on Tuesday, December 13th, 2022. We're going to call this regular town board meeting of the town of LaPointe to order. Roll call: Mike Anderson. Here. Amy Baxter.
Here.
Susan Brennan.
Here.
John Carlson.
Here.
And Glenn Carlson here. First, and we also have our elected clerk, Michaela Montaigne, and our town administrator, Michael Kupta, as well as members of the Harbor Commission and two members of the public. So, a member of the Energy Committee, I believe. So, do we have any public comment?
I do.
Go ahead, Rob.
I think, Michaela, did you pass this on?
I didn't, I just printed it quick, I forgot. Do
Okay,
you want to read it, or do you want me to read it? I just have like this one little.
oh, no, I put this whole thing in here.
Well, you better go for it.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
You're tiny.
My name is Robin Trickle Russell, I'm a member of the Energy Committee. And the committee focuses to look at the town's energy usage, including solar panels and power use cycles during the week or the day. It's chaired by Larry Bean. I've got an interest in prudent energy usage. I was in charge of the passenger terminal solar panels, and we put them on our house. And we also, the Fairline is a member of the Travel Green, which promotes green practices and lesser usage. And we've upgraded all the boats to at least type 3 and type 3 energy efficiency. Basically, what I'm speaking to the request by the Energy Committee for the town to approve them writing a grant for a microgrid, which would tie together the solar panels and the library, the clinic, and the town hall. Because there are excess production of electricity at some of the solar panels, and they would allow the other facilities to use it. They also would back it up with the battery backup system, because I didn't understand until we had our last meeting that solar panels don't work unless you have electricity. So if XL power goes down, the solar panels don't work. And that, you know, and the main focus of this grant for the microgrid is for resiliency. Since we're on an island, you know, XL doesn't go down very often. And we have 2 lines running over here, but it's important that when it does go down, we do have some basic services. And so the talking points that I have here, and I'll give to Kayla, were written by Bill Bailey, who's in the Schwamigan Bay Renewable Organization. And Bayfield County, this has nothing to do with us here, but Bayfield County is the top county in the state of Wisconsin as far as solar panel installation and renewable energy. Like I said, the microgrid is all about increasing resiliency, having power for a longer period of time in emergency when the grid is down. And the grid going down could have to do with the contractor digging up a line, could have to do with like the derecho or the heavy windstorms that we have over here. Remember when all the lines went down? So it's important. And it means having some power during the outage. Over here, you already have generators. At the town hall, I think there's a generator, and there's one at the clinic. That, what I understand is when the power goes down, the generator just turns on. And so it's burning, you know, propane. It doesn't match the production of electricity with the load. With the backup battery grid, you would match the load, because it would only use the power as you needed it, not just continue to run. like the generator. The battery system would firm the microgrid during a power outage, reducing dependence on the propane generator. And that means that the battery is the primary source of power, not the generator. And what would happen is the battery backup bank would save power and then be recharged up to 100% every day. So it's a good system. And we have, on the committee, we have Craig Bucky, who is like, he's an electrician like John, but he's also a certified solar electrician. And along with Bill Bailey, know a lot more about this than I do. The microgrid will reduce propane consumption. The generator at the town hall will consume approximately 1.7 gallons of propane for every hour the grid is down. With the microgrid, the generator will only run when the battery state of charge is low. The microgrid, another point is that the microgrid will increase the generator efficiency and longevity. Because you know how machines wear out after time, and so it will add to the life of the generators. Propane generators are not designed to run for long periods of time at low load rating. By only operating the generator when battery needs recharging, the loads increase during runtime and eliminates what's called, let's get a little technical, wet stacking. You ever heard of that? Okay. And premature failure of the generator. I remember on the phone call they talked about wet stacking, which is, I think it's like running a machine under load. You know, it's kind of like operating my car. It will go from here to home. If I don't warm up the engine, it wears out the engine faster than actually driving the Ashland back again. They were talking about that.
Robin, I think we're kind of running out of time
Okay.
for public comment. But
And
we do have it on the agenda. If
Okay.
you're going to stay here for that, we can,
no,
there are questions.
can I make one more comment?
Sure.
The microgrid is designed to easily add to the school at very little additional cost. So that's an advantage of the grant. So.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Okay, thank you, Robin. Moving on.
I will entertain a motion to move 4C to, let's see, on page of the Harbor Commission, I believe Michael will speak on.
Okay, moved and seconded, we move 4C up to present. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Michael, you have the floor.
Thank you. And thank you for giving us a chance to give you a brief update of where the Harbor Commission is at this point. This has been a formation period for the commission, which the focus of formation is to give us the capacity to do the work. And we've had internal administrative work, but we're acquiring access to expert counsel to, one, shape a possible purchase agreement with Miffle for the very long. Two, define and acquire funding to complete the purchase. And three, execute agreements for future ferry operation. So those are kind of the three principal focus points. Harbor Secretary is mandated by state statute. We're required to hire a Harbor Secretary, and thanks to the work of Mike Anderson and Carolyn Bauer, we are happy to announce that we've hired Lauren Bruteau, who comes to the job with a lot of enthusiasm, as well as a background in communications, which will be helpful as we try to keep the public informed, as well as technical computer skills. We've signed non-disclosure agreements. This is critical to creating a trust environment where we review trade secrets, sensitive documents on the ferry line. And we worked with the NIFL Council and our own council, which is Amundsen and Davis, to complete and sign these agreements. We have identified and we've begun to interview expert counsel in these areas: maritime law, valuations of equipment and specialty assets, real estate. Some of the real estate is unique in its purpose. Enterprise business concerns and cash flows. Merger and acquisition and transactional counsel, bond underwriters and independent bond counsel, and ferry line operations agreements. The goal at the moment is to get all of these relationships in place by the end of January. The holidays slow us down here. We've also reached out to the potential state and federal funding partners. Senator Baldwin's office. We have the possibility of a line item in the governor's 2023 budget, and we'll need to seek the support of Senator-elect Quinn and the Assembly-member-elect Green going forward. There is also something that we've learned that the Department of Transportation in Wisconsin is doing a very light economic impact analysis to update their understanding of what rail lines do for regional economies. And I should say, I should say that we've been very grateful for the willing and open participation of Fairline in these conversations. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer a little bit. That's where we are.
Any questions, anyone? Well, thank you very much, Michael.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Michael.
Okay, we'll move along. The administrative reports, we'll just go down the list.
I think you just moved to have that one.
Yeah, we just moved that, so we're back to the.
So now.
So, any questions on the town administrator's report?
I do, I have a question.
Go ahead.
On the back page, Michael, on number 4, first paragraph, just, what's the update, is you have no updates on hooking up just, what's the background on that again?
So that's the automated building control system.
Right,
We paid to have a system that will allow us to access essentially remotely through a laptop.
right,
Wendell, who's the general contractor, confirms that building specs require that be hooked up. Neither Five Star Electric nor Johnson Controls hooked it up. So Wendell is trying to get them to agree to who's responsible for hooking it up. So we don't pay anything. And the second part of that is a question I think John raised it last time. Is there an annual subscription to have this in place? And there is not.
so basically, it's not hooked up,
Yeah, it's in the building.
it was supposed to be hooked up.
We could hook up a laptop to, whatever, the terminal that's there, but we won't have remote access. They need to hook it up to the computer hub, and neither Johnson Controls nor Five Star Electric hooked it up, even though it's in the specs of construction, or construction manual.
Okay, so basically, we paid for it, it's just not done yet.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments for Michael?
Just congratulations on all your phone calls paying off and we got.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Persistence. Okay, Public Works Director's report, any questions, comments? Okay, Mark Supervisor's report. Airport Manager's report. Planning and Zoning Administrator's report.
I have a question, but I know Ed can't be here. So basically, you've seen that report, his report. So what this is saying is that in 2021, last year, there was a lot more lake shore, because the county, last year, the county got almost $14,000, the value. And so this year, we're like double the county. So what I'm guessing by reading this is that in 22, there's a lot more inland permits being issued, right? Am I reading that right?
I would trust your judgment on that. I don't know the intricacies of what
Because the
that
county doesn't do the one.
Well, the county permits are for 1,000 feet from the lake.
Okay.
So it would only make sense that the town, being a lot more this year, would be inland permits. That would be my question, but.
Sounds reasonable.
Well,
Could we get Ed to comment on that at some point? Maybe
Sure.
in his next report?
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't have the context to know what the dollar.
wouldn't that make sense? I mean, that just would make sense to me.
Sounds like it, but, okay, any other questions on the Planning and Zoning Administrator's report? The Accounting Administrator's report? Police Chief's report?
Well, he's not here either.
Go ahead.
Well, in this last paragraph of his report, he's talking about getting, intoxilizer over here, blah, blah, blah. Well, there has to be a technician, and that usually comes from the state to do the, to calibrate and stuff. And we're not gonna pay ourselves, are we, for,
That was my question.
The chief was just looking into whether we have the capability of getting a secure room, and that's why he had the DOT person here. I would say pursue with him what the long-term plan is. I just know that he's looking to see what the capability is of installing a machine, getting a secure room, and having someone qualified to do the blood draws that would be required. But as far as calibration of the machine, I don't know what he's discussed or what he's got.
I just don't want them to get into a situation where the responsibility is greater than because I went through the same thing. And yeah, the payoff, it's, if you start looking into who has to do the calibration for it, and who has to do the technical, I mean, it's a highly priced instrument.
Well, we did that when they were designing the fire hall too, a separate room and stuff like that, and that's why it got mixed,
That's, yeah,
because the cost was a.
but that, anyway, that would be my question for Bill.
Okay. If we can, it sounds like maybe
I'll see him, I'll ask him.
you'll ask him.
I just haven't seen him.
And you'll tell us.
And you'll tell us.
Okay.
If I get an answer.
Any other questions on the police chief's report? You had a question on the county administrator's report?
Yeah.
Okay. Fire chief's report.
How long did it take them to find the victim? Does anybody know?
To find a victim.
They were doing training.
It's
Oh,
a training.
Oh,
this was a pretend victim.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can leave the card stuff for a second there.
Yeah.
Well, you read the report.
I did.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we don't know.
We don't know.
Okay.
They're still up.
There's still, it is still out there. The mannequin is still out
Find that out, that would be something interesting
It was
to know.
probably hide and seek that they all went home.
there. Okay, all right. Ambulance director's report. Okay, is there unanimous consent to place these on file?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, definitely. Okay. Next, Public Works, Road Stock and Harbor, job posting for 2 non-CDL temp driver positions for 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the posting of the opening for temporary driver and equipment operators at $17 per hour. 2 openings. 2 applications are due by 9 a.m. December 30. I'm sorry. I was gonna say the
Oh, I think I have the wrong date on there too.
2022.
Yep. I'm not hiring.
Okay, December 23rd, 2022.
Okay.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, if there's anything under parks. No. Okay. Under MRF, service contract with Republic Services, Ashland Transfer Station. And this is a decrease in the estimated cost of our contract.
I will make a motion to approve the service contract between, Public Service, the Ashland Transfer Station, and us.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, committees, planning and zoning. Nothing under that. Next, under Energy Committee, Energy Innovation Grant for the microgrid. Is there a motion to approve the application?
I'll make a motion to approve the application for the Energy Committee to apply for up to $250,000 through the Wisconsin Public Service Commission's Energy Innovation Grant Program.
I'll second it for discussion.
Sure, moved and seconded, discussion.
Michael, on the 3rd paragraph in the end, you have that, the committee members, blah, blah, blah. And then you say it's not required, but is highly recommended in a priority factor in making the awards that we chip in something. So,
That is my reading of the grant requirements, yes.
well, I guess what I'm getting at is the way I read it is that if we're not gonna chip in anything, then it's kind of a waste of time.
All I can tell you, I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know how much this was discussed. All I can tell you is what I've seen from reading the grant materials, and that the committee has done the research into the direct pay option, which would be allowed to be counted toward the match, and they did say that any money committed would not be necessary until calendar year 2024, but my reading is the same as yours, that PSC will grant more points to applications that have a guaranteed match.
Yeah.
And at this point, we do not have anything in our budget to match, what we estimate is like $29,000 to $41,000 for the difference in cost.
In the next paragraph, you say that they're gonna pay us back quarterly. Is there a chance that we pay this $307,000 and then they don't give us the money during the final?
Once a contract is signed, these are government entities that would be doing the reimbursement, so I would say the chance is really, really, really slim.
Okay.
Unless we committed some violation of the contract.
So, go ahead, John.
Oh, I was just gonna say, when it gets in a little deeper, I think we need to decide and find out what kind of storage batteries they will be having. The acid ones are highly corrosive, and the lithium ion ones, they can be recycled once, but they have no way of knowing what they can do with them afterwards. And I know there's people on the board who don't like mining, but all that stuff is mined in third world countries. And it ruins their country. We block mining here, the town board, and we have blocked, where we've sent letters against pipelines. So the mining of the lithium ion, I think we need to decide that we're gonna, have that here. And then what happens in 10 years, we don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to do with the stuff yet. And they might not take it somewhere, and we might just have to figure out what to do with it later. It saves the electricity, but there's a cost later on.
Thanks, John. And I know that that's been a discussion at the Energy Committee level when I was on the Energy
Right,
Committee.
but it's,
And I know that there's been some interest in looking at more, I guess, recently developed battery solutions that don't have the lithium ion issue.
right, but
At this point, I think that is what they are probably looking
I'd
at.
have to look at the scoping study that they
Yeah.
got delivered at the same meeting. I was not
sure,
at, so, I'm not sure what they recommended. And I know, Glenn, to your point, they have discussed as a committee, flow battery technology, but I don't know if it's at a point where it could be implemented for this kind of a project. But they have had discussions that there are manufacturers who are willing to, quote unquote, donate their battery technology as a pilot project. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to, give the board as
Right.
much as I can in context without having their documentation in front of it.
Thank you.
How often does this grant come up?
There are annual grants. Sometimes the priorities of what they will fund will change, but the grant program is tended to be annual.
And we will have an opportunity, right, if we do get the grant, to decide whether or not to accept it with.
That is correct.
What Robin read earlier, Bill Bailey and Craig know a lot more than what we know about this.
Oh, they know a ton.
Yeah.
But I think John's point is well taken.
Yeah.
In terms of the overall cost of the lithium ion batteries. Any other discussion before we take a vote? Okay, so this is to vote to give the Energy Committee authorization to apply for up to $250,000 through the Wisconsin Public Service Commission's Energy Innovation Grant Program. Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
No,
One no.
not until we get more information about, well, one thing, we don't have money in the budget to fund this.
It's just to apply, doesn't mean we have to pay it.
Right, but
Once,
during
once,
the application process, they wanna know if we're giving any money.
right. And I've been on the board long enough, if you apply, they're gonna follow through.
You mean if we get it,
Right,
if we get the grant?
right,
Um,
and I don't know where.
What is
where
the,
town would
we
get the
vote.
money.
yeah, we have voted. The application deadline is, January 30th, 2023. And I guess if we would like additional information, we did vote to approve. But I would imagine the Energy Committee would be pleased to give us additional information as to the batteries, and to exactly how much they would like us to commit to a match, so that we can factor that in. So, okay, we have voted. Next item on the agenda is the update from the Harbor Commission, which we've had. So we move on to Town Hall Administration and item A, attachment G to the 2022 compensation resolution, 2021-1214A.
I'll make a motion to approve attachment G, resolution 2021-1214A.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
I'll pass it around.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, resolution 2022-1213, adopting the 2023 fee schedule. Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2022-1213?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution 2022-1213 for the 2023 Sector Speech Schedule.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the 2023 budget report, and you all have a memo from Michael on this. And this is really a question about, well, first of all, what we adopt here will determine what items we have to include in a budget amendment should there be changes made. Now, my understanding is we can, and we do, when we move money from one thing to another, it's usually because there's something that's not in the budget that then comes before the board, and the board says, yes, let's spend it, and we've got the money in some other line item. So there is the approval of the actual expenditure. What this would do is to say that we, if that was all we did, and we had this super detailed budget that we've approved, we'd have to have that changed in a budget amendment also. Okay, so it's not just the approval of that expenditure, but then it's got to be a budget amendment to move, to actually move the money, or the auditors get annoyed.
I make a motion to go with number one, condensed budget.
Condensed budget.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Barb will appreciate that. Okay, next item is vouchers.
I will make a motion to approve the vouchers in the amount of $50,150.31.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes. You can do them all at once if you like. I think, right?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular town board meeting minutes from Tuesday, November 27th, 2022, and public hearings December 5th, 2022, and special town board meeting December 5th, 2022.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, emergency services, police department, I don't believe we have anything in particular on that. Next, fire department change order number 1 with custom fire for new fire engine. I think everyone saw in Michael's report that they had gone ahead and committed this expenditure without going through proper channels. And so now it's up to us to decide how we want to treat
Well,
this.
I cannot read my copy, I can't even read. I
Right.
don't know if everybody is. Well, I mean, the total amount, I don't know where it is. It's like 30,
11,560.
but I mean, I don't know really what it represents. And I wish we would have had.
Yeah, it's like a picture of a picture, I mean, I can tell you that they're adding valves and,
Fire extinguisher, they're removing.
tool boards, lights. Yeah, I tried to blow this up and read it as well.
Pump heater or something like that.
I guess what I understand that it needs to be done, but when we, when we set our budgets and we set an amount, $770-some thousand for this fire truck, and then, they need an extra 12 for this and an extra whatever for that, and pretty soon you're over 800,000, and, where do we get that money,
Well, plus, we even took the higher bid.
Well, I mean,
Because we were looking at it with a better.
but it's
deal.
just something we gotta think about. It's like all of a sudden, the money, you can't go to the north end and pick a $1,000 bill off a poultry.
So we just say that they need to use their own resources.
Well, that's how I look at it.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion, they ask the fire department to use their own resources to pay for the extra expenses on the fire.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Okay,
I have some discussion.
go ahead.
So it does, Michael, it does appear that they, like they didn't bring this to us. Have they been told or, because none of them are new, so they should.
Well, it's not like this isn't the first time they've done this either. where
Right.
They've done stuff and then, oh, we need town board approval.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Did you have anything further on that? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So I assume if nothing else, it'll come out of their 66 account. Okay,
I mean, the two obvious things are they find donations for the additional
right.
changes, or they authorize the funds that they have, sole authority over.
Okay, thank you. Next item is ambulance department and the Madeline Island Ambulance Volunteer Service sponsorship. And is there a motion to approve? This is basically a modification to the current sponsorship form.
Correct.
I'll make a motion, we approve the ambulance volunteer service fund.
I'll second.
Seconded. Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, I got a question.
Go ahead, John.
So it says that they have to be on the service for a year. Now, is that a year on the books or is it a year on the schedule?
You have to talk to Cindy and or Sarah as to what the current practice is. I know they have a specific way of tracking that because there have been cases in the past where people have left the day after their 1 year of service completed. So
Well, I'm just thinking if somebody's on the service and say they take a 2-month off and they come back after their year and say, well, I'm done. They're off for that 2 months, is that part of their year or?
I don't have an answer to that, John.
I think,
I would refer you to
Okay.
directors.
Any other comments or discussion?
The main change was like remote learning, right?
Correct.
Yeah, there was, so whatever past practice has been, that's gonna continue, I would assume, on how they define the 1 year.
Right.
I assume they've been
Just as a contract agreement that the board had approved in 2018 was outdated and specific for attending in-person classes.
Yep, got it. Okay, any other discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We move on to item 9, public comment B. Do we have any additional public comment? Okay, hearing none. Item 10, liquor and operators licenses.
I would just like to point out that this is a little bit of a funky one, because the fee schedule is taking away the 6-month option. This establishment used the 6-month option. So the licenses you'll be approving for the A and B, the Class B and the Class C, there'll be a 2-month license for May and June, and then they'll be on the regular liquor license schedule, which all of them have to by state statute is July 1st through June 30th. So approving tonight will be approving technically like a year plus 2 months. So these licenses will be good until June 30th, 2024. She's paid and everything's all set. Yes, they know this, and Steve McHugh used to own this business, and he was in the routine of paying the year prior, and Kayla, the new owner, is trying to do that, but then now she knows that it's gonna have to switch to the June or the July start date. So this is a little bit of a funky one, but
Can we approve both of them?
you can approve all 3 at once since it's the same business if you'd like. It's just, and you shouldn't see it.
I will make a motion to approve the Class B sale for malted beverages license, and the Class C wine license, and Class C non-intoxicating beverage license to the Bell Street Gallery, Girl Under Lake, Kayla Picano, agent.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. No.
Did you put all 3 that we talked about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Item 11, lawsuits and legal issues. Item A, petition with the Wisconsin Department of Revenue and potential Ashland County levy litigation. Michael is our attorney.
He's expecting our phone call.
All right, okay.
Give him help. Go after him.
Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, the town board may go into closed session during the meeting for the purpose of conferring with legal counsel with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved in accordance with Wisconsin statutes 19.851G. After the completion of the closed session, the board will come back into open session to act upon the discussion in the closed session or otherwise complete the business of the meeting before adjourning. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make a motion, we go into closed session.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion before we take a vote? Okay, Mike Anderson,
Yes.
Amy Baxter,
Yes.
Susan Brown,
Yes.
John Carlson,
Yes.
and Glenn Carlson, yes. Okay, motion carries. We are moving into closed session.